Hi, it's Adrienne with the Oliver team. Wanted to talk to you today about flood insurance. So there's been some tropical storms and hurricanes and all of those things that we endure in Houston. Wanted to talk to you about flood insurance. What are some myths? What are some facts? Hoping to give you clarity on whether flood insurance is right for you. So the first myth is you can't buy flood insurance if you are not located in a high-risk flood area. The fact is that you can buy federal flood insurance no matter where you live, as long as your community participates in the National Flood Insurance Program, also known as NFIP, which was created in 1968 to provide flood insurance to people who live in areas with a high risk of flooding. These are also called special flood hazard areas, known as a 100-year floodplain, 500-year floodplain, things of that nature. And then in Houston, of course, for instance, I live in a place that is not in any of these flood zones, but I personally have insurance because it's Houston, and if I lose the primary residence in which I live, I'm going to need replacement. The other thing is a myth. Okay, next myth. You can't buy flood insurance immediately before or during a flood. The fact is you can purchase flood insurance at any time, but there is, however, a 30-day waiting period in which the policy will take effect. There are some exceptions to this. For instance, if you close on the home and you already have it in place, it can be put on immediately. Also, the initial flood insurance made during the year following, you have a waiting period for that next year, right? So the next myth is homeowners insurance policies cover flooding. Unfortunately, most homeowners insurance policies do not cover flooding. So a lot of times what you'll see happen is that you will have an insurance company fight over, was it a flood or did the roof come off first, those types of things. And then people's claims get denied and people can't fix their homes. So it's a good idea to have flood insurance in Houston. The next myth is flood insurance is only available for homeowners. So flood insurance is available to protect homes, condominiums, apartments, and non-residential buildings, including commercial structures. However, there is a maximum of $250,000 building coverage for single-family residents, $250,000 for multi-family residents, and contents coverage for all residential buildings of $100,000, which is also available for renters. Commercial structures can be insured with a limit of $500,000 and $500,000 worth of contents. The next myth is you can't buy flood insurance if your property has been flooded. That's not true. In fact, it doesn't matter how many times that your property is flooded, you're still eligible for the National Flood Insurance Program that your community allows you to participate in. Myth: only residents of high-risk flood zones need to insure their property. That is not true, because the fact is, even if you live in an area that's not flood prone, it's possible to have flood insurance. You can be financially vulnerable to floods outside the disaster risk. In fact, more than 25% of all claims for the National Flood Insurance Program actually take place outside the flood zone. Next myth is going to be federal disaster assistance will pay for flood coverage. This is not true. Before the federal disaster assistance is eligible to pay for the coverage, they will ask if you have national flood insurance. This happens when less than 50% of flooding accidents. The main form of federal declared disaster relief is oftentimes in a loan. So the annual property for flood insurance, or the annual premium, for flood insurance is about $700 a year, which is well worth it. The next myth is federal flood insurance can only be purchased directly through the National Flood Insurance Program. This is also not true. It is sold directly by what they call WYO, which is write your own companies. So for instance, my insurance company also covers my flood, and they write it through this program, so they are in line. So in case I had a flood insurance claim, right, and they were debating, oh my gosh, what happened first, the roof or the flood? They're the same insured. So they figure it out. They give me the money, I fix my house, and they figure out who to get the money from. So it does cover flooding from overflow of inland tidal waters, rapid accumulation, mudslides, erosion, any lakes, any current water cycles. So I hope you've learned a little bit about flood insurance and some possible myths as well as facts. This is Adrienne Oliver with Remax Universal. Make it a great day.